Ken.
Hello, Mr. Behrens. How are you? I'm fine. How are you doing?
Good.
How's that advice columnist?
Say what?
How's the advice columnist?
Am I? Is that what I am? I thought I was a country singer.
Oh, you're that too. I was thinking of the Dear George book.
Oh, Dear George. Yeah.
Yeah. How you been? We've had a chance to visit a number of times in the past, and you are always one of the most delightful people. In fact, I have just read a book on William Paley, and he talks about spending time with all of the Hollywood folks who joined the CBS radio network, and he said you were the one that most people listen to for hours on end, story after story.
Uh-huh. Well, he's a nice man.
Yeah.
And he did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
He went from the cigar business into CBS. His father, sold cigars.
That's right. And I guess he put the guy out in front of the store, didn't he, to roll the cigars to catch attention?
I think it's La Polinas, weren't they?
I don't know, but that brings me around to the kind of cigar that you smoke. What kind is?
Smoke El Producto.
Uh-huh.
The reason it's a domestic cigar, and a good cigar is it's now 50 cents. It used to be 3 for $1. And the reason I smoke that cigar is I smoke on the stage. And when you smoke on the stage, if you smoke a good cigar, it's well packed. And the cigar that's well packed goes out. And if the cigar goes out 3 times, the audience goes out with the cigar. And if the audience goes out, I go out with it. So we all go out together.
Well, I don't think the audience is going to go out on you. In fact, that's never happened, has it?
No, that's because the cigar stays lit.
That's because it's a cheaper cigar.
Damn right.
And you also use a holder all the time.
Yeah, well, the reason for a holder is that especially on television, a wet end doesn't look good. Okay. I'm not funny. I'm neat.
I tell you, I have to remind the folks that you're going to be in our community. We are very fortunate to have you come to town. In fact, I was the one that tipped off Illinois State University's Braden Auditorium. I sort of feel responsible for bringing you to town. I said, if you're going to bring somebody, bring George Behrens, for goodness sakes. And they said, how in the world do we get a hold of him? And I told them.
I've been in Illinois for a long time.
Yeah.
Last time I played was Peoria.
I guess that's right.
That was in you weren't around then.
Well, I was. I made it to the press.
That was in 1928.
I was there.
28? How old are you?
No, I'm only kidding. I'm.
That was 59 years ago.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you where you were over in Quincy, and I went to the press conference over there that you did.
Quincy, yeah.
And that's been fairly recent, I suppose, within the last 6 or 7 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, you're going to be in town on the
16th.
16th of October.
The 16th of October.
And it's a rare opportunity to see who I consider the head honcho when it comes to comedians.
Thank you.
I have really enjoyed you through the years.
Good.
In fact, there have been so many things written about you that...
I'm making a movie right now.
I understand.
I'm in the middle of a movie.
Is that going to be another Oh God picture?
No. They're talking about doing Oh God 4. But this is a movie called 18 Again.
Ah, okay. That would be kind of off that record that you had. I wish it was 18 again.
18 Again. My grandson is 18, and he's a beautiful-looking kid.
Yeah.
But he's never had a drink in his life. He's never had an affair. And I'm 81 years old in this picture. And I'm an old Louis. I'm going around with all the broads and everything. And I said, I wish I had this kid's body. I don't have to tell you the finish of the movie, do I?
No.
Okay.
You really have made some great movies. I'm thinking about Going in Style with Lee Strasberg.
Movie.
I
enjoyed making that. And I also enjoyed making Oh God 1. That was the best one.
You know that?
I'll tell you why. I made 3 Oh God movies. Oh God 1 had John Denver in it. And if God really came down and wanted a nice man, he'd have picked John Denver.
And I hope God would be like you played him.
I don't think God would come down from Milton Berle.
I've got to shut up because I'm ruining your lines. But no, I was going to say if God came down, I would hope that he'd be like you were in that movie because it was terrific.
Well, I'm only God when they pay me.
There was a book that came out about you and Gracie not long ago. Maybe it's been a year or so. And they really brought out the fact that you had some ideas you were pretty stubborn about. You wanted to be able to talk to that television audience and see what was going on your own TV on the on the show.
That's right.
Now Gary Shandling's doing something like that. I guess maybe he got.
Not only that, you've got television in all the hotels. When I started it, they said it was out of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's around now. So I'm not only a comedian, I'm also an inventor.
How about I tell you what, I've been seeing every time I turn around now, I see George Behrens. The Tonight Show had an anniversary show on recently, the 25th.
Well, with Johnny Carson.
Yeah. And
I've been around for a lot of years, kid.
And then the
90, I'm 91.
91.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In January I'll be 92, and I'm booked to play the Palladium Theater when I'm 100 years old.
What is the secret to this ability? You're as sharp as a tack. I mean, a lot of people, by the time they get to be 50, they've hung it up.
I'll let you in on the secret, on my secret. My secret is I love what I do for a living. And it's very important to be my age and be able to get out of bed and love what you're going to do that day.
That could be said about anybody at any age, right?
Right. There's a lot of people that hate what they're doing, but they got to do it.
Yeah.
What can they do?
You like to be surrounded, I understand, by young women, too, don't you?
What's wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing.
You know, that's better than sliced tomatoes.
I guess so. And yet, I'm sure you really haven't forgotten Gracie, have you?
Oh, no, I'd never get married again. I had a wonderful marriage. If it wasn't for Gracie, you wouldn't be talking to me. Gracie started the whole thing.
Can we go back and now this is ancient history for some folks, but as I understand it, when you guys started out, you tried to be Gracie was the straight woman, right?
Only one show, just the first show. I was the comedian, and Gracie had all the questions, I had all the answers, and nobody laughed at my answers, and they laughed at Gracie asking the questions, and the audience found Gracie's character. If Gracie said silly things, the audience loved it. If she said something sarcastic, they didn't. So I found a lot of silly things for Gracie to say. And what made us a good combination is that I knew I was good for Gracie. I could write it and think of it, and Gracie was able to do it.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about working with people like Al Jolson, I guess you consider the best entertainer of all time.
That's right.
Jack Benny, of course, from
great comedian.
Illinois.
Yeah.
And always.
There were so many. Yeah, Groucho Marx. I think the funniest comedian for me was Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin?
Yeah.
In real life, was he a funny guy?
Yeah. Well, because he made it up. He made that little walk up. He wrote the music. He directed it. He wrote it himself. And he was in silent pictures, of course. But there's a lot of great comedians. I wouldn't know, I wouldn't know how to rotate them. But I think Chaplin, to me, I'm talking about myself now. To me, he was the funniest.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, see, we didn't get that.
Was the greatest entertainer, and I would say the best talent would be Sammy Davis Jr. Because Sammy could do everything. He also could just do two things. He could sing and talk. He was a good comedian.
Who was the happiest guy in show business that you've ever known?
I am.
Okay. Do you have a particularly happy period of your life? If you could go back 91 years, any time in there, where would you like to be right now?
I'd like to start in vaudeville all over again and do the same thing I've done all my life.
Well, that's terrific.
Do the same thing again.
You worked with W.C. Fields, I know, and...
Yeah, great comedian. Great. Love gin.
Yeah.
The gin drinker, so am I.
You start out each day with a martini or something?
I like martinis. I drink them all the time.
Uh-huh.
I drink martinis, I smoke cigars, and I dance very close.
But you don't eat a whole lot, I understand.
What?
You don't eat...
I'm not a big eater. I have one good meal a day.
Are you a vegetarian?
No, I eat anything. I don't believe that everything gives you cancer. I read in the paper the other day that spinach is bad for you. Now, what the hell is that?
Yes.
It's silly.
Popeye would be pretty upset.
I don't like... When I send for food, when I order food, if I don't like it, I send for ketchup. And if I go out with a girl, if I don't like her, I send for ketchup.
Yeah.
I get ketchup for girls and for food.
Yeah. Can I talk to you a little bit more about Groucho Marx?
Go ahead.
We look back at You Bet Your Life, and you know, that you hear adulation about game show hosts today on television. And I keep saying that the best game show host there ever was Groucho, because if Groucho was sick, you bet your life didn't exist. Nobody could sit in for him. It was a thoroughly entertaining show. I'm just curious, was Groucho that witty in real life, or?
Well, let me tell you about Groucho. Groucho was a sarcastic comedian. You know, it was sarcasm.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that until you're about 65 years old. And when you get to be sarcastic when you're 65, you get to be a mean old man. And Groucho was sarcastic when he was there. Groucho was a great comedian, you know what the hell.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite of the Marx Brothers was Harpo. I'm talking now as a human being.
He was
was the nicest man, you know. And Chico, you know, Groucho was not one of my favorites. He was a great comedian, but Groucho would say the same thing all the time.
Your best friend, Jack Benny.
Jack Benny, great.
Had
nice, wonderful, warm human being.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed any time I get a chance to see Benny or you.
Jack Benny was a quiet riot.
But he couldn't make you laugh. You could make him break up, as I understand it.
Well, I made him laugh because I said silly things. If you told Jack Benny a joke, he wouldn't laugh. But some little crazy thing, like Jack Benny came into the club one morning, and he didn't say hello. He sat down. He says, "I didn't sleep last night." I said, "How did you sleep the night before?" He said, "The night before I slept great." I said, "Sleep every other night." Now that would make him laugh. And once I was sitting with him, and he looked at me, he started to laugh. I said, "What are you laughing? I'm not saying anything." He says, "Yeah, but you're not saying it on purpose." How about that?
Let me ask you this, George. Do you think, obviously you're not a flash in a pan. We've heard the stories of, say, the Freddie Prinzes, the people who get success handed to them quite early in life, and they don't seem to last, or they can't handle it. How in the world do you guys, and I read someplace or heard recently where Jack Benny made something like $1,300 a week back in 1932. Tremendous salaries. Do you finally get to the point where you really have to work on keeping a grasp on what everybody else in the country is thinking about? Johnny Carson, how can he identify with somebody who's making $200 a week?
All I can tell you is about myself. I don't do... Are you going to see the show?
You bet.
When I'm there, okay. You'll notice I don't say anything that doesn't fit a 91-year-old man. Everything fits my mouth.
Okay.
Every Powers elephants, he used to have 4 elephants. He told me, "George," he said, "the elephants all look alike to you, don't they?" I said, "They certainly do." He said, "They're not. Each one has its own personality." And that goes for comedians or for actors. Everybody has their own way of doing things.
Yeah. And one of the things...
I'm one of Powers' elephants.
If you're 91, you'll really enjoy the show, but you'll enjoy it at any age.
I loved show business all my life. I was a flop from 8 to 27. I did all kinds of acts, and I was lousy, but I didn't think so. I loved what I was doing. And anyway, all my life I had this, I always believed in one thing. I would rather be a failure in something that I loved than be successful in something that I hate.
That's well said. You know, one of the things that came through, I think this goes way back to Living It Up or They Still Love Me in Altoona, but one of the things that tell me if I'm wrong, seriously, money doesn't seem to mean that much to people who have made it. Obviously, you've enjoyed the success.
It doesn't mean that much to me either. I do it because I enjoy it.
What I love is all of a sudden you're in this one hotel room and you're looking at the floor and you're remembering some tap dancer and you're talking to this other guy saying, you know, so-and-so would have loved this wood floor.
Yeah, great floor, sure. That's right.
I wonder about maybe the rest of us, some of us who are just so busy trying to make that dollar, make that buck, pay the bills, if we could just maybe enjoy life a little bit more if we just didn't care so much about money.
I couldn't follow that.
Well, I think maybe some of us put too much emphasis on money.
Oh, I think when it gets it. Look, it's nice to have money. I'm not, but money is not the answer when you've got it.
Yeah. So why?
What the hell? I mean, you can only eat one meal a day.
So the reason, now this brings me around to the reason that you're coming to Illinois State University on the 16th. It's not for the money.
No. Because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it.
But I want to stress to the people that are listening, an appearance by George Behrens is a rarity.
Okay.
You bet.
When I get there, come back. We'll have a drink.
Okay. I want people to come out and see you, George.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jim.